What's up guys, my name is Ace, and in today's video I will discuss the Forgebark staff. Is it secretly overpowered or is it actually pretty bad? Let's start with what the E actually does. The E, Dual Nature, is a toggled ability with two states. The difference between a toggled ability and a channeled ability like a Blightstaff E is that during a toggle you can still cast other abilities. The two states of this E are called Fortify and Ensnare. Let's start with Ensnare, as it is the more straightforward mode of this weapon. All allies in a 7-meter radius get a 15% damage bonus, and up to 10 enemies in a 7-meter radius get rooted for 4 seconds. The mediocre 4-second snare aside, a 15% damage increase sounds pretty good. However, is it really worth a nature E? A Royal Robe gives a 30% increase to magic damage. An Arcane's Empowering Beam gives up to 80% damage increase, and a Royal Hood gives up to 30% damage increase. Most of these damage increases are single target, and the AoE one only increases magic damage. A 15% AoE damage increase therefore isn't all that bad. But this damage increase comes from a healer weapon, and using this E for its damage increase forces you to lose out on an insane amount of healing from stuff like Wild, One-Handed Nature, or Blightstaff. The Fortify mode of this weapon gives up to 10 allies in a 7-meter radius a shield for 1.5 seconds, and restores health to them every 0.85 seconds, while also increasing your healing cast by 15%. The healing cast bonus works the same as any other healing cast bonus. It's incredibly powerful the same way the passive adrenaline-driven charity is powerful. If you want to know more about how healing cast bonuses influence nature healing, make sure to check out the Ultimate Nature Healing Guide, linked in the description below. The shield given out by this E is slightly lower than a Guardian helmet would give a 40% HP target. With a 5-3 Guardian helmet giving 1211 and a 5-3 Forgebark giving 1161, I think we can all agree that the shield given by a Guardian helmet above 40% is quite lackluster. In terms of healing, I've tested this weapon as a 5-3. As I've mentioned in previous videos, I believe comparing items in Albion should be done on price, not on tier. Currently, on the EU server, a 5-3 Forgebark is worth around 1 million silver. This 1 million silver would buy you an 8-1 One-Handed Nature or a flat 8 Blight. Sadly, Wildstaff doesn't really have a tier worth 1 million silver, so I will be comparing it to a 500k costing flat 8 Wildstaff. The spec on these weapons is slightly biased towards One-Handed Nature. I currently have 106 on all natures, with 120 in One-Handed Nature. Keep that in mind for the results. A 5-3 Forgebark Q heals for 34 per second. An 8-1 One-Handed Nature Q heals for 36 per second. A flat 8 Blight Q heals for 36 per second. And a flat 8 Wild Q also heals for 36 per second. Once again, for these numbers, keep in mind that the Wild cost is half as much as the others, and the One-Handed Nature has slightly more spec than the others. In terms of Q healing output, the Forgebark loses out to all the other notable nature staffs. Now, let's test out the healing output to see how those numbers compare. A 5-3 Forgebark E heals for 133 per tick for 9 ticks, healing for a total of 1197 per target up to 10 targets. An 8.1 One-Handed Nature E with 3 stacks heals for 983 for up to 10 targets. A flat 8 Blight E heals for 173 per tick for 8 ticks, healing a total of 1384 per target up to 10 targets. A flat 8 Wild E heals for 301 per tick for 8 ticks, healing for a total of 1204 per target, up to 10 targets. Blight heals the most per target. However, keep in mind the difference between a cast and a toggle we mentioned before. Blight does not allow you to use any other ability for 5.6 seconds, including Qs and Ws. One-Handed Nature heals the least, but it being instant instead of over time is quite valuable in a lot of situations. We can clearly see that Forgebark E heals quite a decent amount, considering it also gives a shield and allows you to give an offensive boost to your teammates. There are also a few fun things you can do with the Forgebark that I haven't mentioned so far. The cooldown for switching between the two forms is 2 seconds. Since you always start in Fortify mode, you can switch back and forth to reach this mode a total of 3 times, applying the shield to 10 allies up to 3 times. You do lose quite a bit of the healing, although, in some cases, the reapplying of the shield might be more valuable than the healing it offers, in situations where your team is taking massive burst damage, or you're being applied with massive anti-heals like from Hood of Tenacity. You can also do a pretty fun combo with Mistwalker Jacket. The auto attack damage I'm taking from my friend with a cleric robe is 28. With a Mistwalker jacket and celestial censer, this is 27. As you can see, the damage is about the same. For healing output, the Qs with cleric robe are 34 per second, while the Qs with jacket and censer are also 34. While tankiness and healing output of these builds are about the same, the obvious downside is the insane cost of a 5-3 jacket and censer. But if you really don't care about silver and want to do some cool tech, here's what you can do. After pressing E, you can instantly press the Mistwalker jacket. Due to the E being a toggle, you can remain invisible and untargetable while also healing with your E, allowing you to walk into any damage in CC to heal your teammates, something Blight tries to do, but still fears due to damage taken. Everything I've talked about so far makes it seem like Forgebark is pretty good. And it's honestly okay. However, the massive downside to this weapon is its incredible cooldown. A base cooldown of 30 seconds is incredibly high. For reference, a one-handed Nature E has a base cooldown of 18. With a 5-3 Mistcaller and a 7-1 Omelette, the cooldown is still over 23 seconds. Besides this, the radius is incredibly small as well, and while healing with Cloth, you might take some unnecessary damage just to try and heal your teammates, thereby also making them take more damage due to AoE escalation. Forgebark does have some uses as a damage support by foregoing its healing output, while its AoE healing is done better by Blight and Wild due to their way bigger radius and lower base cooldown. It is by no means a bad addition to the Nature Staff line, and I'm glad it was released in this way, as almost a year ago a different version of this weapon was leaked. I'm not going too deep into exactly what was leaked in this video, but as you can see on screen, it was a hell of a lot more overpowered than what we eventually got. Overall, I think this weapon will be largely forgotten over the years without any buffs, like Druidic and Rampant Staff have been. I hope SBI will make minor adjustments to this weapon to get it up to the power level of other Nature Staffs. Thanks for watching. I'm officially back to Albion and hope to start making a lot more videos. Not just 4VX compilations, but a lot more in-depth healer stuff as well. If you want to watch me live, make sure to check out my Twitch, and while you're at it, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.